Sean O'Malley will take on Merab Dvalishvili this weekend at UFC 316 for the bantamweight championship of the UFC. And you can look at the video on my channel I uploaded just a couple days ago about why I think that Sean O'Malley will beat Merab at UFC 316 and reclaim UFC gold. However, in the case that Sean O'Malley does not beat Merab at UFC 316, which Vegas does not think that he will, I'm going to discuss in this video what is next for Sean O'Malley. Is he going to stay at bantamweight, move up to featherweight, or do something else such as boxing, or maybe just retire from the sport as a whole? We will talk about all of Sean O'Malley's next options in this video, and I will give them a percentage score on likelihood of how likely I think that they are going to happen. But real quick, a free way to support me would be subscribing. We had a goal by June 15th, which was my birthday, of hitting 700 subscribers. We ended up smashing through that, up the goal to 750 subscribers. We hit through that, and now by June 15th, we're going to see if we can get to 800 subscribers. That's just under 2 weeks away, and we're about 35 subscribers away from it, so let's see if we can get there by my birthday. And seriously, I appreciate each and every one of you that subscribes. It means a lot to me. But with that being said, let's get back to the video. So let's talk about the first option that most people might think of is what if he just stays at his current weight class of bantamweight? And that is a possible option. There are still a few other matchups for him at bantamweight that make sense, could be entertaining, such as a Corey Sandhagen fight. Those are two great strikers. We've been waiting to see Sean O'Malley and Corey Sandhagen fight for years, and it's never come to fruition. But if Sean O'Malley loses to Merab, there could be a chance for this fight, although there's a solid chance that Corey's going to get the title shot anyways next. He could have a rematch with Petr Yan, although they're pretty much giving Petr Yan every fight available that's not a title fight, even though he's a number 2 ranked fighter. And then finally, there's a fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, which would be an entertaining fight. However, I do not think that Sean O'Malley will win that fight, or at least have as good of a chance to win as he does compared to Petr Yan or Corey Sandhagen. And another point going for Sean O'Malley staying at bantamweight is that he's comfortable at this weight class. It's what he's fought at his whole career in the UFC, so why switch it up now? However, one thing going against Sean O'Malley staying at bantamweight is that if he loses the fight this weekend, he will be 0-2 against Merab, who is champion, who looks like he will have a decent chance, especially if he beats O'Malley again, at having a long title run. And it is very rare that a fighter gets a third chance at a fighter that they've already lost twice to. We see it's happening with Holloway and Poirier at UFC 318. However, that's under special circumstances, as Dustin Poirier wanted to go out against another legend, so they gave him Max Holloway, and that's respectable. However, if Sean O'Malley loses to Merab, it's unlikely he's going to get a third chance to fight him for the belt, so we might not see any benefit at sticking around at bantamweight. And for that reason, I think Sean O'Malley is probably not going to stay at bantamweight, although there is a couple reasons why he could. So I'm going to give him about a 40-45% chance of staying at bantamweight. Now, the next obvious thing that could happen if he stays in the UFC is if he moves up to featherweight. Now, you might be saying, like, Travis, why would he do this? Well, he might do this because there are more bigger fights for him at featherweight, and he will have a fresh crack at the championship, assuming he gets 1 or 2 fights. Sean O'Malley does have that star power, whether you like him or not, to where he could fast line a track to get to the championship. Dana White and the UFC will fully support it. If he moves up and beats 1 or 2 contenders, he will likely be fighting Volk or whoever else the champ is for the featherweight championship. And another thing that plays into that happening is that Volk's been champion for a long time in this division. We had that year period where he wasn't, but besides that, Volk has still beat almost every contender in the featherweight division outside of a Movsar Evloev. So if O'Malley gets maybe just 1 win under his belt and Volk's still a champ, there's a very good possibility that the UFC wants to put these 2 huge stars against each other, as it would be a super big fight. And then who knows, maybe Ilia Topuria doesn't do well at lightweight, ends up moving back down to featherweight because Sean O'Malley's champ, because that would be another super fight between Sean O'Malley and Ilia Topuria. So if Sean does good at featherweight and Ilia does bad at lightweight, there is a chance Ilia comes back down to fight Sean O'Malley. They've spewed back and forth in the past, and they don't like each other, so this is a real possibility. And we see Aljamain Sterling is doing good at featherweight, and that is somebody that Sean O'Malley knocked out for the championship. So if Aljo does good at featherweight, you would think Sean O'Malley could do good at featherweight. I know MMA math does not add up great, but there's a possibility for that. And one more reason why Sean O'Malley could move up to featherweight is that both him and his coach Tim Welch have talked in the past that it is very likely that Sean O'Malley will move up to featherweight at some point in his career. So him being 0-2 against the current champion of his division would be a very good time for him to make that leap and go up to featherweight. He has good power and he has amazing size. He will still be one of the biggest fighters at featherweight if he moves up, and he will have some of the best power at featherweight, so there's really no reason for him not to. A lot of signs would point to him moving up, so I'm going to give it about an 80% chance of him moving up. And now the next option is Sean O'Malley going to boxing. Sean O'Malley has talked many times in the past about going to boxing. He had a plan. He was going to beat Merab, move up to featherweight, beat Ilya, and then go to boxing, maybe fight Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia. He's gone back and forth with Ryan Garcia in the past, and Sean O'Malley has expressed a lot of interest in going into boxing. Some other things that could help him out is he is insanely big, and he's able to make an insanely small weight, and he has a lot of power, and that's really going to help him in boxing. Having the reach, the power, and the height are all attributes that are going to help him if he does go to boxing. However, why this may not be as likely as it would be in the past, or if he kept winning and maybe even moved up and became double champ, is there's not going to be that much hype of him going into boxing. Now there definitely is, because Sean O'Malley does have a pretty good fan base, and the casual fan can spot Sean O'Malley and be like, that's Sean O'Malley. However, Sean O'Malley coming off of 2 back-to-back losses is not going to be very exciting for him going to boxing, because he's already losing him MMA. If he switches to boxing against people who've been doing this their whole lives, it's probably not going to go well for him. It doesn't go well for most MMA fighters who switch to boxing, and coming off of 2 losses, the hype might not be there, and there might not really be the want for Sean O'Malley to switch to boxing. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Sean O'Malley about a 30% chance, maybe 20% chance of going to boxing if he loses to Merab Dvalishvili. I see him as way too young to be taking these Jake Paul fights. You know, maybe 10 years from now he'll be taking this, but he's still in the prime of his career, whether he wins or loses, so he's probably not going to want to move to gimmick exhibition matches. He already has all the money in the world, so there's really even less incentive for him to go to boxing. Now going into our last option is, will Sean O'Malley retire if he loses to Merab at UFC 316? That will be 2 back-to-back losses in front of everyone. He will be getting clowned by the whole MMA community, and he has talked about this in the past. Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch were talking recently about no matter win or loss at this fight, UFC 316, even if he wins, even if he loses, Sean O'Malley has a great life and how they've done well for themselves and they're happy no matter what. And to me, that just sounds like you're unmotivated to fight. That sounds like we're getting to Conor McGregor territory, where you have so much money that you don't need to go through a grind of a fight camp and a weight cut and risk your brain and body fighting. That sounds like someone who's unmotivated and on their way out of the UFC and MMA in total. Plus, if he loses, there's not that many big fights for him at bantamweight, and there is a couple at featherweight, but I could definitely see Sean O'Malley not wanting to go through all that when he has all the money and he thinks he has a good life. However, I do think Sean has some motivation in him still, and he still wants to be great, so I'm only going to give this about a 20 to 25% chance of Sean O'Malley retiring if he loses this weekend, because I still think he has a lot left in the gas tank that he's going to want to give towards MMA, because he does seem to enjoy the sport. And that is all I have for you guys in this video. If you have made it this far, I really appreciate it. A free way to support would be hitting subscribe, liking the video, and I respond to every comment on all my videos. So drop a comment and I'll respond to you down below. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video that will be coming this weekend or next week. So subscribe so you see that. Deuces.